Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning to those of you online. Thank you for joining us today. Yes, I am talking about standing stones, but before I get into that, I just want to say thank you to Robbie Jean, and I have to tell on her a bit. She and I have a history. She was a practitioner when I was the minister at Hemet Center for Spiritual Living. She was one of my practitioners. And when she left, it was a very sad day. But she was moving here, and it took me 30 years to get here, and it took her only a few years when she made up her mind. So thank you. Thank you for supporting us this morning. Thank you very much. So, the standing stones, or as I have relabeled it, transitioning to transformation. You know, when we think about standing stones, I think about Stonehenge. And Stonehenge for years has always been kind of this question mark to humankind. What is it? What was it made for? I mean, it has been numerous things in astronomy, whatever it is. But when you look at this beautiful circle of stones, they're portals. They're portals to the next thing. And when we look at doorways, when we look at thresholds, they are symbols of new beginnings, of crossing over into new things. There's new adventures. When you all came one day for the first time through that door, or the door next door, it was all a new adventure. It was all a new beginning in what you have come here to be. You came here and you said, okay, I've got this yearning, this learning, and I want to find a spiritual home. And so here you are. Here we all are. You know, and taking that first step is the most difficult because it's like we step off and we go, oh, I hope I'm not going into nothing. It's like this beautiful abyss of unknown and trust. And we're saying to ourselves, it's okay, it's time. You know, it's interesting is we're always looking for a soft landing. But God promises a safe landing, not a safe passage. So along the line of our passage, we are bumping into walls and we're skinning our knees and we're having some challenges that we have to constantly work through. But that's part of who we are and what we're doing. Ernest Holmes said, circumstances can seem very real, like stone walls in our path. We are encouraged to think independently of any existing circumstances. That is what is meant by entering the absolute. He goes on and says, by entering this realm of thinking, we connect with the infinite power from which all circumstances spring, but which is greater than any circumstance. Let me read that again. It is with infinite power from which all circumstances spring, but which is greater than any circumstance. So the power and the presence of that God energy, the God of your understanding, is more powerful than anything that is going on in your life right now. However, we build walls. We use stones of limitation to create them, and the mortar is the circumstances that we use to glue it all together. So instead of a standard wall being 4 inches thick, we make it 12. Just so we know it's good and thick and it's a good thing to work through. But it doesn't have to be that way. You know, in Rome, I love this passage in the Bible. It says in Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Okay, so it's transformation. It's all about how we look at our situation when we are in it and we're saying, okay, I need to CHANG. I need to change. Transformation is just wonderful word that mass change, but it's the same thing. We're working towards something new. Transformation is all about healing and revealing and all the icky and gooey stuff that we get into that we don't always appreciate. So transformation has to do with the way walls separating us from others and from our deepest self begin to disappear. So those 12-inch walls that y'all have built, they start to disappear because all of a sudden we start seeing things the way they are. We start letting down our guard. We allow ourselves to trust. And the true alchemy of transformation is when we take the unconscious into the consciousness. And the curiosity that we come with that, what if I do this? What if I, change my life? What would it look like? There is a saying that says curiosity killed the cat, satisfaction brought him back. You know? And that's what happens is once we're satisfied, we relive, we breathe new life into whatever it is that has been, bugging us. And we decide, okay, I can do this. So there are 3 stages to transformation. It's separation, transition, and incorporation. And separation is when we leave the familiar. Everything that we know is a for sure thing, we say, okay, I'm breathing. I'm going to step away from what my comfort zone is. Transition is a time that we test, that we relearn things. And as we're relearning, we're also growing. And then the final thing is the incorporation and the integration, where we decide, okay, maybe that didn't work for me over here. So now I'm going to step into this, something new that's, unfamiliar, but I'm stepping into something new. So when we separate from the herd and that which is no longer familiar, we are separating ourselves from what no longer serves us, supports us, or creates safety in our life or in our environment, basically. And when we separate, sometimes we're also separating ourselves from Source, from God. Because we say, okay, I can step into this abyss. I can go blindly into whatever I'm doing, and I don't need anybody's help, including the God of my understanding, Spirit. I can do this on my own. And I will tell you, and I will ask you this question. How's it working for you? As hard as we try, we cannot do this without Spirit, with that which has created everything. And so often we just blindly push it aside, saying, I can do this by myself. And Spirit just says, okay, I'll wait for you. I'll see what can happen. And then we come and we say, okay, I can't, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? And then Spirit goes, okay, I'm here. Let's get to work. Let's do this. And so we begin again. And yes, we can start into that victim consciousness of, well, I can't do this. No, I'm not good enough. And my life will be heck. And you know what? I might as well just go back to my old life because it's safe there. And, it's familiar. And all of a sudden, a portal opens. And we say, ooh, what's this? This is a new opportunity. Ooh, maybe if I walk through this, something will change, something will be different. And then there's that stone of limitation. And we look at it and we say, you know what? I don't know if I can climb this. I don't know if I have the energy to do this. Can I walk over it? Can I climb over it? We usually try to go under it. Doesn't work real well. But yet, if we release and we let go and we quit blaming that outside source for everything that's coming or happening to us, and we just simply sit and be still and know everything will be just perfect. Everything will come to us. All the information that we are required to have about whatever it is will happen. But you have to get out of your way. You have to get out of your way. So when we know and feel within whatever it is that is just irritating the heck out of us, when it's uncomfortable, that's when the work is beginning, when it's pushing us forward and it's creating a new environment. It takes courage. It really does. It takes a lot of courage to heed the call to adventure and step into the unknown. That's when the trust begins within yourself. And you say, okay, all right, I got this. I can do this. I've got a plan. Even though sometimes we have a plan and God laughs. And we say, I know this can be better. I can change history. And you do know history is, well, it's obviously patriarchal, but it's his story. And we look at it as our story. So when we are walking out of our history, we're walking into something new. So I'm sure many of you, when you started on your mission or your quest with Science of Mind, you were seeking, you were looking, and you said, I know somewhere there is something in the world that aligns with how I feel and how I want to be spiritually. And again, you fall through the door and you say, this is home. A lot of times when we are working through an issue, a challenge, that same thing happens. We walk through the fire and we come out, yeah, we're a little burned, we're a little singed, but at the end, we can say we're still alive, we're still here, we are thriving, we're no longer surviving, we're thriving. And we say, wow, I feel really good. Why did it take me so long? Why did it take me so long to do this? You know, I love to relate to the butterfly story, where the butterfly starts out as a caterpillar. And it's this cute little caterpillar, goes along and just eats leaves all day long. And then one day, it gets the call, and it says, you know, I think it's time for me to take a rest and think about things. And so it spins this beautiful chrysalis, and it goes into this cocoon. And many of us do that when we're in the middle of a transition. And it stays there. And it has a meltdown, like most of us. And it becomes this gooey mass. But yet it's still alive, it's still there, but it's still thinking. And then after a time, all of a sudden it starts to shift and change. And then it becomes a butterfly. And then it breaks through and it spreads its wings. And it's off to the next adventure. It's a lot like us. When we go through transition, it can be sort of like a road of trials. When we cross the thresholds of these roads, you know, we're basically going into a wilderness. And we face tasks and ordeals that we have to overcome. In Science of Mind, we talk about different things that happen that you might not get a hold on, and then you end up repeating them again and again and again until you get them right. Like example, You quit a job because of whoever or whatever. You go on to the next job and you say, okay, I'm good. This is a good start. But then you've got the same person from this job, just in a different form. They could have been female here, now they're male. And what the universe is asking you to do is work it out. Work it out. And once you do, you won't have to revisit that. So what is that asking you to do? It's asking you to grow. It's asking you to look within and say, okay, what part of this that I'm really trying to avoid do I understand? And there is something within me that, yes, it's making me uncomfortable. So I need to understand that part of it is making me uncomfortable. It's not the person. They're just a form. They're just acting as a mirror. That's all they are. And so what they're reflecting back is, this is what you need to work on, by the way. And so we look at that person and we blame that person, then we move on. And then in case I said, we encounter that same thing over and over until we get it and we say, okay, I understand now. This is what's making me uncomfortable. And this is what I need to work on. When we look at transitions, we're actually looking at connection. We're connecting to different things. We're plugging in. We're finding out, okay, yeah, this is uncomfortable, but I get it. You know, the best form of transition, I think, is the hallway. Where, and trust me, I have been in a lot of hallways lately. It's where you go into this part of your being and you feel like everything around you has just stopped. And you're in this dark place. And I mean, it's not depression, but it's just, you have no idea where you're going, and there is no doors, there's no windows, you can barely breathe, and you're forced to sit there. You're forced to sit there in the silence and say, okay, instead of me trying to force things to happen, what am I supposed to be listening to? What am I supposed to know? What is it that is my greater yet to be? But I'm so stubborn that I have to keep moving mountains and moving stones that I'm not taking time to listen. I'm not taking time to listen to my heart, that intuitive edge that we are all given. Breakthroughs and transformation take place in that hallway. This, in the hallway, is when we experience growth. We receive, oh, okay, I get that, I understand that. So we become more positive. We say, I'm capable of doing that. I'm competent, I'm worthy. Oh, and yes, I am powerful. I can do this. And God's got my back. Then we have to confront the fears. Okay, so if I do this, will I do that? Will this happen to me? I'm still in my safe place. I'm still in the hallway. And then all of a sudden you say, well, fear is false evidence appearing real. I can bust through this. Yes. And all of a sudden we say yes. And then a window goes open. And the light comes in. And then a door opens and we say, oh, it's about time. And you walk through it. And that's when you're incorporating yourself into something new. That's when you're joining a new herd, when you're joining a new experience. And then you've realized as you step through the door into the light of knowing that you've outgrown that previous life is no longer needed. I'll share a personal story. Is when a couple of years ago, well, a few years ago, I was minister for Center for Spiritual Living in Hemet for 12 years. And this wonderful man picked me up off my feet and took me to Arizona. And one of the decisions I had to make was, I'm getting married, I have to leave my congregation. That was scary, because I was leaving a whole bunch of people that I really loved, and I'd known, and I'd been through things. And I thought, okay, I'm stepping into something new. And yet I knew I wanted to go to Arizona, not only to be with him, but my family was in Prescott. So everything was a win-win. And I thought, all right. So I got here and everything's great. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, now what do I do? And at the time I was finishing my degree at ASU in religious studies. So I had a little bit of breathing time, but I was still restless. And I was still like, well, what do I do? And then I thought, oh, well, hey, I'll contact some of my colleagues in the CSL system and say, I'm here if you want a vacation time. And several people have used me, like you all. Thank you. It's been wonderful. Such a beautiful spiritual family. And then I thought, okay, something kept gnawing at me, like something more. Well, when you're a minister, you're also a teacher. So I applied. I went, oh, I'll go to Tempe Unified and apply as a substitute, which I did. And I got this amazing experience with the public schools. And then I had this one experience with a Montessori school. And I went, it was a first and second combo. And the day that I went, they were doing what they call a birthday celebration, where they take a globe with the child, and the child walks around the sun for every year that they were born. Yeah. So the parent is invited. And so for every year that they get to walk around the sun, the parent relates something special to everyone. Like, yeah, talk about cry. Oh, I just bawled. And the teacher, the lead at the time, was just laughing at me because she knew that it hit my heart. And so they do these celebrations with everybody's birthday. And so throughout the day, my time at Montessori, I realized this was my tribe. This was my tribe. I had a sanctuary, but now I have a classroom. So the sanctuary just became the classroom. And so I was asked back quite a few times there, and then one day, I got this really nice little letter from the principal. And she said, we have an opening. Would you like to be a teacher here? And well, actually it's an assistant, but you're kind of a co-teacher. And I looked at that and I went, oh my gosh. And I said yes. So I'm an assistant teacher, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. How what I thought my life was going to be, and now God has given me a transition, something to sit in for a while, to see, where I'm in that phase of now what, or what is my greater yet to be, but yet I love what I'm doing. So everything works. So transformation is an ongoing process that tends to appear ordinary, when in fact something extraordinary is taking place. So just when we think that everything's kind of dead and whatever it is, it's that undercurrent that is stirring everything out. So when we choose to let go of our old life, what we are seeking is also seeking us. And we usually find it, or it finds us. It's kind of like when we finally break down all those stones of the walls that we've built. What's left? Little pebbles of our former life. And then all of a sudden, one day we say, you know what? I have done all I know. This is yours now. And we give it over to God. I don't need this anymore. you can take it. And we release and we let go. It's like Joseph Campbell said, we must be willing to get rid of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. We release and we let go. Transition can improve a situation, whereas transformation radically alters it at the core. We must turn away from the internal battle that we have and trust love. Trust the intuition. Trust and know that there is a soft place to fall. God will always catch us in that net. Always. So this morning, I have some homework for you. I'm a true teacher, right? So this morning, I brought in a worksheet, which will be handed to you this morning. And it is all about transition and transformation. And what it has is, what do you believe now about the situation in your life? And what could it be better? So, yes. And it's got a whole bunch of space to do a whole bunch of transformations. And you can use a new sheet. I did quite a few. I don't know if you have the capabilities to scan it and put it in a document form for those online. Maybe? Yes. Okay, the newsletter. Very good. Thank you. And I do believe there'll be extras. So if you are not here but you're local, maybe the Craycroft office would have it. Maybe? Too? Yes. Okay, very good. So there's no excuses. And your dog can't eat your homework on this one. But it is a very powerful worksheet, and I wanted to share it with you. You're welcome. Thank you. So in the end, I'd like to read something from Howard Thurman. Yes. He says, a human must be deeply convinced that the contradictions of life which we encounter are not final. The radical tension between good and evil, as we see it and feel it, does not have the last word about the meaning of life and the nature of the existence. That there is a spirit in humanity and the world working always against the thing that destroys and cuts down. Thus, we will live wisely and courageously our life, and those who see the sunlight on our faces will drop their tools and follow. And so it is. Thank you.